Well, today, a senior U.S. law enforcement official downplayed Senator Feinstein's comment, saying, quote, he says, there are folks we are looking at. Is there something we don't know about? It's possible, but I don't want to call them sleeper cells. With me now, Julie Myers-Wood, president of Guidepost Solutions, who used to be assistant secretary at the Department of Homeland Security. Julie, welcome.
Thank you so much.
So we're all on the same page. Define sleeper cells for me.
Sure. A sleeper cell is traditionally thought of a group organized by terrorists or another transnational criminal organization that's kind of lying in wait, that gets into position in a certain location, that is waiting for direction in order to execute that direction. So they might move to a certain location and 2 or 3 years down the road decide now's the time to execute a plot against the U.S.
When you hear the senator talking about potentially sleeper cells here in the United States, and there are a lot of unanswered questions, how many there are, I don't know if you have that answer necessarily, or if they're even at liberty to say, but what kinds of capabilities do these sleeper cells have?
I think law enforcement is very concerned about not only sleeper cells, but other sorts of threats that the U.S. might be facing. And when somebody like the senator says she's worried about sleeper cells, we've all got to listen, very clearly, because obviously she's had the most access. Been in the know in that, absolutely. But I think we've seen over the last few years that it's not just sleeper cells, but it's also lone wolves, sympathizer, homegrown terrorists. We have to worry about all those things. And the Achilles heel for the U.S. is really complacency. I would say, not the visa waiver program.
Let me get to that. So This is something else that definitely made news when Senator Feinstein was talking to Gloria Borger, and she said that basically this is the weakness, the visa waiver program. This is what she said. Take a listen.
The visa waiver program is the Achilles heel of America, because you're right, Gloria. They can come back from training, they go through a visa waiver country, and they come into this country. Now, there are no-fly lists, there are terrorist lists, but they're in the tens of thousands and even millions. So it's difficult to ferret someone out.
So that's interesting, because we were just talking, and these Kawachi brothers, apparently they were on this no-fly list, though it's to her point, there are so many names and so many people on the list that maybe they could have slipped in. I mean, do you agree with her?
Not if they're on the no-fly list.
Right.
I think the visa waiver program actually has helped strengthen the intelligence that we have about people that want to come into this country and harm the country.
So you disagree with her? She's saying it's the Achilles heel.
I think there's room for improvement, but I actually do think the Achilles heel is complacency and not looking at, can we strengthen the program, can we strengthen the intelligence? For visa waiver countries, if you're going to come into the U.S., you don't just waltz right in with your passport. You have to go through an intelligence check that's done through an automated system. And because we have agreements in the visa waiver program, we actually have more intelligence than we used to have with those 38 countries. And so what I think is important now is to look at, do we have enough intelligence? How are those programs working? And are we acting on that intelligence in a very clear and quick manner?
But if somebody wanted to come, let's say from France into the United States, they could do so for 90 days, correct?
They would have to apply online through a program called ESTA, and when they apply online, they enter all sorts of information. And actually, Secretary Johnson of DHS has just proposed that they enter even more information, including their aliases and other passport numbers and things. When they enter that information, all of that is run through the same intelligence databases that the State Department uses if you go in person for an interview. And when the ESTA program reviews it, if there's something in the file that's problematic, they say, no, your ESTA is denied, and you can either come in to a consulate or an embassy for application for a visa, or forget about it, you're on a no-fly list and you're never coming in. So I think it is a little bit misleading to blame these problems, and we do have very serious problems, on the visa waiver program.